Well, hello everyone. I hope that you are having a wonderful, blessed, and prosperous day. I wanted to take the time and share some video with you of my trip to Middlefield, Ohio, which is just a little bit south of Cleveland, to pick up my 2018 Honda Goldwing. I made the trip from Buffalo, New York to go there to a dealership that really gave me a really good deal on the 2018 Honda Goldwing. And so what I decided to do was travel up there and ride it back. And what you're looking at now is that video. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to capture good audio during the trip, so I've decided to do the voiceover here. So I hope you don't mind with me doing that. So what the trip really here is showing is that I just left out of the dealership and I'm on my way back home. And I thought this would be a great opportunity. You buy a bike and you want to be able to get some miles in on the bike. Well, what's a better way of doing that than for me to get 200 miles driving back home? As I left the dealership, one of the things that I would have to do ultimately is hop on the interstate, but I wanted to do a little back road riding here. And one of the things I noticed is this bike, and as you've probably seen from very many reviews on YouTube and other social media outlets, this is a very smooth bike. It handles really well. What I have is the DCT model, and I was interested in seeing how I would adjust to being able to operate that, and it really was easy to pick up. A little bit of an adjustment, but much easier, I should say, than I thought it would be. So as I'm traveling here, again, it's really my first time being acclimated to the bike, so I'm not going fast. You just saw a car pass me. I'm really just in cruise mode and on my way back and just getting to learn the feeling of the bike. So my trip back, the first, I would say, 20 miles is what you see here. A lot of rural areas, a lot of back roads. You can get up to decent speeds. I think the speed limit here probably was about 40-45 miles an hour. So it wasn't that I was creeping along, but it really gives you an opportunity to get comfortable with the bike before you hit the interstate. I wasn't on the bike long and just really was happy with my decision to get this bike. It really is smooth. It handles bumps well. Basically everything that you've seen and heard about the new Honda Goldwing is exactly the way that it is. The one thing I like about the DCT model is you see here when you come to a stop, this is where the bike really excels. And when you're going in stop and go conditions, where you're operating at slow speeds, it just makes it very easy. You don't have to, it's doing the automatic switching of gears for you. You don't have to go and worry with that. All you really have to do is concentrate on riding the motorcycle, and that's what made it really well. One of the things I did do before, when I left out of the dealership, as you might know, the motorcycle has multiple modes. You can operate in tour mode, sport mode, econ mode, and rain mode. I started out in rain mode, and you'll see me when I'm driving here, I'm in rain mode. The reason I did that was the rain mode is the throttle is less sensitive, less twitchy. So until I got really acclimated with the bike, I wanted to make sure I was in rain mode, so if I wouldn't overdo it on the throttle and jump a little bit too much. So that really was a good way for me to start out on the bike. That worked really well. I didn't stay on that long, probably the first 20 miles. Right here you see me getting on in Ohio, I guess it's State Route 11, which is one of the major highways in Ohio. You can go 70 miles an hour on this highway. But by the time I'd gotten to this point in the video, I got accustomed with the rain mode, and I switched it in tour mode, which is really the default operational mode. And the throttle handles like you normally would expect a throttle on a bike to handle. So on Route 11 here, just trying to make my way back home, the 200 miles. But this really gave me an opportunity to open up the bike a little bit. Again, I'm not the type of person that's speeding down the road doing excessive, amount of miles per hour. I'm really keeping it right around the speed limit of 70 miles an hour. It gives me the opportunity to play with the cruise control a little bit, get comfortable with the windshield. The buffeting was not bad at all. Really, on my helmet, I couldn't feel anything. I had the windshield in the proper upright position, so I didn't feel much on my helmet. a little bit on my arms, but really not bad. Very, I think this part of the ride was probably the smoothest that I had on Route 11. As you see me going through some construction. Believe it or not, it's still at speed, 70 miles an hour. They didn't have a reduction in the miles per hour when you went through this lane closure area. So really just getting used to the bike and on my way home. Really nothing but wonderful things to say about this trip. One thing that was kind of unique when I did go to pick up the bike in Ohio, the day that I went, it was 67 degrees, I believe, in Ohio. Beautiful weather, and again, I start my ride back to Buffalo, New York, which is really only about 3 hours away, almost 3 miles away, 3 hours away. But there was over a 20-degree drop in temperature, so made for interesting riding. Starting the day out at 67 degrees, by the time I get closer to home, it was about 40 degrees. So if you fast forward the video here, you'll see me, I finally made it back into New York State, went through Ohio, went through Pennsylvania, made it back into to New York State, and now I'm driving on Interstate 190 in downtown Buffalo, about, again, 40 degrees. Really the only change I made was I switched out my gloves to some thermal gloves. I did use the heated grips and the heated seat. It made the ride much better. I do have some heated gear, but have not had the chance to hook that up to the bike yet, so I'm just going off of the heated seat and the heated grips. But it really made the ride a lot easier for me to handle as the temperature started to decrease. Just a smooth ride the whole way through. For those of you who are on the fence about getting the 2018 or 2019 Honda Goldwing, I don't think you can go wrong by getting this bike. It handles well. It handles extremely well, and I think you'll really enjoy this motorcycle if you get it. One thing I did realize in this trip was that I would say probably after the first 100 miles or so, close to 100 miles, I ended up in Erie, Pennsylvania. It was a perfect time to get off the bike, stretch my legs a little bit. I would say, and I don't know if it's the stock seat or just traveling in general, I would say you could probably do about 100 miles and then take a rest and then get on to another 100 miles. I probably will be looking into some type of seat modification. I think you'll see that in a lot of the reviews, a lot of the forums that the seat really is good for about 100 miles before you start to feel a little bit of discomfort. So again, with that being really the only drawback that I see, this is an outstanding vehicle, outstanding bike for you to get. So thanks again for watching my video. I'll be home shortly after this. Wonderful, nice ride, not bad at all. Approximately 200 miles, a good way to start out on your first ride on a new bike. Have a great day.